Hi, everybody. I am Marky Ramone, and you're listening to Lokaos Rock Show.
E o Lokaos hoje vai entrevistar Marky Ramone. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. So, once and again in São Paulo, Brazil, South America must be definitely part of your life since Ramones days, right? Do you feel at home playing down here?
Always. Love the fans, love the friends, the food, the atmosphere, the venues, the fun, the passion.
It's a pity that the new generation wasn't able to see Ramones playing live. Do you think you can bring?
I didn't see the Beatles, but you know.
But do you think you can bring at least a bit of the experience of Ramones shows for this audience?
I always do. That's why I do it. Johnny, Joey, and Dee Dee would have liked the fact that I'm keeping the legacy alive the right way. You know, I'm not going to mention anybody else, but you know, they died too young, and there's a whole new generation of Ramones fans that didn't see the Ramones. So these songs, I always say, are too good not to be played. And we do it right, and there's always that energy, and that's very important. And I will do it as long as I can.
And you replaced Tommy, so you're not the original drummer, but you recorded most of the albums. Do you feel you are the classic drummer of the band's history?
Well, that's what people tell me. I mean, in the Beatles, there was Pete Best, and then Ringo came. So I guess you could say I'm like the Ringo. But Tommy did good stuff. I mean, he denounces punk rock now, and he has a band called Uncle Monk. And he only wants to play folk music with his wife, you know, banjo and guitar. So, you know, you shouldn't forget where you came from. And sometimes I feel Tommy does that, and I don't like it. And the reason why he wasn't in the band anymore is because they used to fight with him and pick on him and tease him, and because he was a little guy, and he had enough. That's why he wanted to leave the group. So I mean, his destiny really was to produce, and I'm glad he found his niche. And I'll always say good things about him because he did help start the group, and he played on 3 great albums.
Why did you leave the band in the 80s, and what made you come back?
Well, in '83, the band wasn't getting along. There was fighting amongst Johnny and Joey, and Dee Dee was doing heroin. I was drinking, and Dee Dee was the main songwriter of the group, and he was the one who went to our T-shirt man to do the logo of the T-shirt. He was a very important member. I was the new guy, still the new guy at that point. So I was asked to straighten up, and they were right. You know, I mean, if I didn't, you know, I could have been dead or, you know, a real bad drinker, but I caught it just in time. But I think the fact that there was so much animosity and bad feelings amongst band members, that's why Dee Dee did more drugs. I was drinking more just to get out of the depression. It was good to stay away for 4 years. Got together, came. They wanted me back in the group, and when I got in the band, it's still the same thing happening. So I stayed with the group for I think close to 10 years, another 10 more years. A lot of good things came out of that. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Touring again, doing Pet Cemetery. That was the first song I did when I got back in the group. And then, I mean, but then unfortunately Joey passed away, Johnny passed away, Dee Dee passed away, and you live with a band for all those years, they become your brothers. They become your family. And just because Joey, Johnny, and Dee Dee passed away doesn't make them saints. I don't believe in that. I don't believe just because somebody dies, all of a sudden they're a saint. We all had our problems. We were all different individuals. We all had different political beliefs. You can't change anybody. You can try, but you really can't. It's up to the individual. But maybe that's what made the Ramones great, was all the pent-up, animosity and dislike towards each other that made us that good. Unfortunately, that it took that.
That was exactly what I was asking you about. What was your position between the situation about Joey and Johnny?
Always in the middle, between Johnny and Joey. Joey would stand here. He would ask me a question to talk to John. John would be here. So Joey would go, Marky, tell John I don't want to rehearse today. John, Joey doesn't want to rehearse today. Johnny, Mark, tell Joey we have to. Joey, we have to. So that's how crazy it got. It was the same thing with a lot of other bands. A lot of shit happens too. You know what I mean? A lot of bands fought. The Stones, Beatles, Aerosmith, you name it.
Do you think your fast playing style was the biggest influence on what would come by later, such as speed metal, hardcore, thrash metal?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we all those bands in some way were influenced by us, and then you had the hardcore scene. They loved the Ramones, but if you speed up the Ramones too quick, you lose the beauty of the melody. And the Ramones had a groove, so our songs were structured to be played at a certain speed. If we played too fast, it ended up sounding too rushed. Local Live, that's the fastest we ever played. The younger fans love it because of the energy, but I really don't like it. I think we played too fast. At that point, hardcore was in and all the fast music. So I guess that's why deliberately we played that quick, to show that we can play that fast too.
You play with Jerry, and now you set up a band with Michael Graves, right? Do you think this Ramones Misfit blend works well?
Well, Jerry played with me. I made that understood. He asked me to play with him. He's one of the Misfits, I'm one of the Ramones, a little different. The band left him, so he needed people to play with him with name recognition. So I felt sorry for him, and I played, I think, 3 or 4 years as Marky Ramone with the Misfits. And we did the 1950s project of old songs that we liked, and we Ramones them up a little bit, and that was the result of that album. But Michael Graves was the lead singer and frontman of the real Misfits, of the Misfits. It's not the Misfits anymore. I don't even know why Jerry only calls it the Misfits if he's the only original member. It's not fair. It's not fair to kids. It's not fair to fans. And I think he should just call it the Jerry Only Band. But Michael was the main songwriter who wrote their biggest selling albums. And so did Danzig. Danzig was the frontman, lead singer, and writer too. And that was the Misfits. So you can call that band the Misfits too. But Michael has his own style, and I didn't want a Joey clone. I didn't want a guy who wanted to have the Joey vocals. Michael does it his way, and that's what I like. He's a singer. Jerry Only's not a singer, so, you know.
Have you ever considered having CJ Ramone in your band?
No. Richie and CJ are over here. Me, Johnny, Joey, and Didi and Tommy are over here. Richie took over until I got sober. CJ was in the group until Didi decided to come back. He didn't come back, so that's why CJ stayed in the band that long, because Didi didn't want to come back. But, you know, CJ does what he does, but I don't consider him a real Ramone. I don't. He wasn't there in the beginning in the 70s in the punk scene at CBGB's. He just wasn't. And I think he did a good job filling Dee Dee's shoes for a while. But, you know, I mean, you can't just dismiss what, you know, me, Johnny, Joey, Dee Dee, Tommy, Johnny Thunders, Jerry Nolan, David Johansen, Steve Batison, the Dead Boys, Sid Vicious, The Clash, the Sex Pistols, Iggy, what we created, Richard Hell. And the Richies and the CJs, they weren't there in the beginning of the punk scene. So, you know, I mean, to tag and give somebody a name like that, I mean, we had to, because he was a new member of the group. But, you know, I think Richie and CJ should form a band together. I really do. I don't see why not. You know, because they were the later guys, and they might have some interesting things to offer. That's just my honest belief.
We heard about you writing, you're finishing a book, right? Can you tell us more about it?
It's about my time in the punk scene in America, how I started in the business with my first band, Dust. Dust was one of the first heavy metal bands in America. They will be re-released this April. We just remastered them, 2 of the albums, and that will be in the book. And then my times hanging out with the Dolls and Wayne County, Richard Hell and the Voidoids, the tour with the Clash we did together. And then, you know, CBGB's, then joining the Ramones and the 1,700 shows I did with them, and the 15 years I was with them, the touring, the craziness, the insanity, Phil Spector, what really happened. Not the rumors, not the bullshit, the making of Rock and Roll High School, and up until now. So that will be released within the next 9 months.
Future plans include keep playing with this band, keeping the legacy of one of the history most poured bands ever, and carrying around the world?
Well, I never thought that I'd end up in China, which was unbelievable. We did Beijing, Hong Kong, Vietnam, then going to Malaysia, then going to Singapore, and obviously England and Spain and France. Holland, Germany, Dubai. So we've been everywhere. It's amazing. If they want it, I got it. So as long as they want to continue seeing this group, I'll do it. If not, I don't have to do it. But if the kids and the older fans, God bless them, want to see the songs played, then here I am.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a huge pleasure talking to you. Thank you. Valeu.